Welcome one, welcome all. You're listening to Care2Talk. Joining me today is Christina Puleo, Executive Director of the Greendale Ymca right here in Worcester, Massachusetts. Very exciting to have you on. Thank you so much for coming on and taking the time. I know you're super busy, but really, pleasure is mine. I remember, back in 2017, it was the first time I ever met you, and it was around October, right after the spruce cleanup, and I was painting in the upstairs group exercise room it was back then, and I remember everyone went off to lunch, and then you came in, and you were like, "What are you still doing here?" I didn't even know who you were at the time. I was like, "Oh, I'm still painting," and then that's when you gave me the Hats Off Award.
Oh.
I think it was actually Catherine, someone else was the CEO at the time.
Yep, Kathy Hunter, yeah.
And yep, Kathy Hunter. And then, but yeah, it was because you recognized me there, and that was like kind of the first time I had my first meeting with you, which was really awesome. But again, thank you for coming on, taking the time. For those of you who don't know, are there any other titles? Christina Puleo, Executive Director of the Greendale YMCA. Any other titles? Any other accolades?
So I also am the Senior Executive of Membership Execution and Strategy for the association.
Wow.
So that's a lot.
That's a mouthful.
That's a lot. But that's why we don't put it on the business cards or anything like that.
Too many words.
Too many words. And mom and wife, I would say.
Mother of two?
Mother of two,
wow.
Identical twin girls that are heading to college in the fall.
That's, yep. I don't know how you do it. How do you manage, I think being a mother is like one of the toughest jobs in the world. Scariest thing you can ever do in life. I would love to have kids my own one day, but how do you not let the fear stop you? Like, how can you be so courageous to bring in these kids on top of having the job? Like, how do you manage the time? Like, do you plan years in advance? Like, do you take it one day at a time? Like, what's the thought process in managing and juggling all of that, all that work?
I would say that I know what my priorities are. So I have been truly blessed to find a career that I am passionate about, that I love, and that my kids can be part of. So my kids have been, since they were 3 months old, they have come to work with me. They started coming to work with me. I've been with the movement for 20 years. So when my kids were born, I was in Franklin. And so as soon as they were old enough to go to daycare, I brought them with me to work every day. We commuted to Franklin until they turned 4 when I came back here to Worcester, and they were in the Wee Ones program here.
Wow.
And they've been in summer camp, and now they're staff, and they are truly ingrained in the community. And really, I think that's one of the best gifts I ever gave them, was the YMCA.
That's
so
amazing.
It was easy to meld the two, but I will say to you that I know my priority. My priority is those 2 girls. So I don't miss a game. I don't miss a game. I don't miss any function at school. I don't miss if they need me to help them study. I don't miss watching a movie if they want to watch a movie.
First.
They come absolutely first, and so that makes it easy, and I'm unapologetic for that. So if I have to miss work things, then I have to miss work things. But hopefully I'm, setting a path or I'm a good role model for young women that are coming up that think they can't do both, because they can.
Absolutely. I'm sure you're going to inspire, a lot of, not just women, but a lot of people everywhere, just to, have someone in your position doing all that you do is definitely super inspiring and motivating. I definitely want to dive deeper into that, family aspect. I want to kind of get a little bit more of your background. How long have you been with the Y? All your life? Or?
I started my career with Girls Inc. I actually grew up, I was a Girls Inc. kid.
Oh, okay. I haven't even heard of Girls Inc.
Girls Inc. was it's a nonprofit organization in the city, and I used to think that I was too poor to go to the Y, so I was a Girls Inc. kid growing up, and I didn't know much about the Y until my adulthood. So when I graduated from college, I went right back to Girls Inc. And started my career there. I was a teen director, and I taught sex ed in the alternative schools in the city of Worcester. Back then, it always really loved what I did, and then started to do a little bit of work for the Y. And then when I started in 2004 in Franklin as the membership director. and I knew I was never going anywhere. I found
The
what
Y
I loved.
values,
Yes.
the
Yes.
beautiful
Yeah.
mission. Like that's
Yes.
definitely something I resonated with the most too. Working
Yeah.
with the Y, it's just the people here, of course, but actually the mission itself
Yes.
is very important. So then you just from Franklin came to Greendale,
Yep.
or?
So my husband owned a business in the city, and we bought a house in Holden. So I knew that when my kids went to school, I didn't want to be commuting 45 minutes to work. I wanted to be right there with them. So I moved back for a position here at the Greendale branch, and have been here since 2011. So 13 years here in Worcester.
13 years.
Yeah.
That is a long
Yeah.
time. That
I
is
know.
a long time. That's impressive. That is awesome. And then you, from Greendale after 13 years, when did you get the CEO or executive director position?
So when I came to Greendale in 2011, I was the associate executive director. Then I became the branch director, I think, in 2013, and then I became the executive director in 2015, and then the senior executive in 2022.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's like one after the
Yeah,
other.
that
That's
is
awesome.
the great part about the Y, is that you can create a career that you can really grow and continue to be challenged in.
Yeah, I've definitely, in my short time of being here, felt that too. And it is so beautiful getting to see, the progress, not just of myself, but everybody else around me.
Yep.
And it's definitely just like it feels more like a family instead of, just some other corporation or some other business. And that's something I really do appreciate about the Y in and of itself. Now, leading into that question is, how do you have so much criticism you deal with. Don't even get me talking about, the men's sauna, and you got, 100 or 1,000 people trying to, email you at once, and it's just like, and then the family, and then just all these people trying to get your attention. It's like, how do you cope with all that stress and all that, constant criticism, and, everyone has an opinion, and it's just like nonstop. I feel like, do you like once a year go on a long vacation, go on a cruise? Like, is it something you eat for the morning that gives you the energy to take on the day? Like, what's the ritual? What's the best like coping method you can use to really deal with all that?
I think there's a couple of strategies I use. The first one is we get a very good amount of paid time off at the Y, and I, unlike many of my colleagues, use just about all of it. Time with my family and time, just home cooking or just doing those things is important for me, because what I want to be able to say is that I've done my best. And so if I come to work and I do my best and somebody's critical of that, I can totally respect that, but I don't need to take that personally, because I know I did the best I could.
Absolutely.
When I don't do the best I can, which is not often, I like to say that. I'm sorry if that feels like I'm patting myself on the back, but I love my job. So I get up refreshed every day, and I try really hard to do the best I can. And when I do that, like I said, I just, and like everyone has an opinion, and everyone is entitled to that opinion. And I hope that people feel like when they come into my office, they can talk to me, and they can tell me exactly how they're feeling. But it doesn't mean that I am going to change what I did, or that I'm going to doubt myself, right? And as long as you're confident and you give your best, I think that's how you cope with it. So you don't have to take it home and lose sleep about it at night, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a good thing. And it's just like always trying your best, right? That takes a lot in and of itself. And so it's like, is there a key to, being the most productive? Is it like some sort of time management or organization skills that you use to be able to always put your best foot forward? Definitely looking for like the key to like that productivity. Like how can you be so confident and so good all the time? Like, is it your breakfast? Like, what are you eating in the morning? Like,
I wish it was that. It's the 2 cups of coffee in the morning definitely help.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
I'm not sure I would be my best self without the 2 cups of coffee.
Black coffee?
Black.
Good.
Completely black,
Glad to
dark
hear
roast.
That's the healthiest. That's the healthiest way to do it.
So that's definitely starts my day off right. But I write a lot of lists, and if I say I'm going to do something, I do it. So it might take a couple days, but it always gets done because I have them written down. And if you looked at my office, you probably wouldn't think I had a a method to my madness, but I'm super organized and super, task driven. So that way I can complete things. And again, that's you have to be super productive in this environment. And so
It's always staying busy.
always busy, which again is probably why I fell in love with it, because I just love that type of work. So.
Are you a write it down kind of person,
Yes.
or text, email, write it
I
down?
write it down. I write everything down, but technology has helped that because I email myself all the time. And I remember, I think I learned this from my father, because growing up, if he was supposed to do something at work, I remember him leaving himself a voicemail. So technology has changed a little bit.
For sure.
But he used to leave himself voicemails, so I send myself emails.
That's awesome. I sometimes do that too, or just like send myself a text message, right?
Yeah.
But just to remember something. But I also think, writing it down
Yeah.
on a physical piece of
Yes.
paper, and it's just like, it helps you memorize it better.
Absolutely.
And, now here's the hardest question.
Yeah.
You don't have to answer it, of course. When's your birthday?
December 21st.
December 21st.
Yes.
Happy early birthday.
Yes,
It's right around the corner.
Thank you. Yes, I'm a Christmas time baby.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then now that the intense questions are out of the way, what is, do you speak any other languages?
I do not.
You don't?
No.
And then do you have any other siblings?
I do. I have a younger sister, one younger sister.
One younger sister?
Yes.
And then, of course, if you're so family oriented,
Yep.
I'm sure, family was probably a big part of your life growing
Huge.
up.
Yep.
If you don't mind me asking,
Yeah.
parents still together?
They
or?
are.
Wow.
Yeah, my parents are everybody who meets them's role model of the ideal couple. A lot of pressure, but they are an amazingly strong, bonded couple. It's really a special thing. Yeah, they've been together since my mother was 16.
No kidding.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
impressive.
Yeah, it's
you
very
just don't see
impressive.
that anymore.
Yeah.
It's so rare.
Yeah, and
that-
we all live within a mile of each other. Me, my parents, my sister. we all
Really?
live-
Wow.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And no wonder why family is such a good,
Yes.
important role. I think that is one of the best things in the world, family.
Yeah.
And what is, again, very vague question, but what does, family mean to you?
Family to me is home, right? It's where you feel most accepted. It's where you feel, where you become who you are, where you feel free to explore what you want to become, right? My mother is my mother is my best friend. We have lots of coffee. I just had coffee with her yesterday morning.
That's awesome.
If we go a week without seeing each other, it's not a good thing. But it gave me this ability to realize that I didn't have all the answers, that I needed a tribe around me to help me find answers. And I think that probably has something to do with my leadership style. I never think I'm the one with all the answers. I'm always asking other people what they think or what they would do.
Literally earlier
Yeah.
today.
Exactly.
Music.
Yeah. Exactly. I know my limits. And I've just been really lucky that my parents have really, I mean, they raised me to be very confident, so they gave me that love and acceptance. But they also challenged me in moments when I did think I had all the answers, right?
Absolutely.
So I couldn't be any more grateful than I am to have the family and the tribe that I have.
That's a hard balance to strike. What
Yes.
did they do for work for your parents?
My father was in banking. My father actually got his college degree when I was in middle school. So
Oh, wow.
he didn't get an advanced education until I was older. And my mother worked for UMass. She was a administrative assistant and for the Department of Psychiatry, forensic psychiatry for at UMass. So
Oh wow, that's
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah. Yep.
And you said the women's your first job,
Girls Inc.
Girls Inc.
Yes.
You didn't have any job before that?
No, when I graduated from college, I went right to Girls Inc., and then I went to the Department of Public Health, and then I went to the May Institute, and then I went to the Y.
No high school kind of McDonald's job or?
Girls Inc.
Really?
Yeah, I was a
Wow.
lifeguard and swim instructor at Girls Inc. From the time I was 14. I don't know, we can't hire anybody here at the Y until 16, but
Yeah.
somehow Girls Inc. hired me when I was 14.
Really?
And it was a great job. I mean, I worked full time over the summer.
That's awesome.
It was a great job, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great.
Yeah.
And You were 14 when you started that?
When I started that, yeah.
And then when year did you graduate college?
I graduated in 1999. I graduated from UMass Amherst.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you got the degree in
psychology.
Psychology.
Yes.
Wow, what a great degree to have for what you do.
Yes, it is.
Oh my goodness.
Yep.
And any kind of particular psychology? Just
no,
psychology?
It was an undergraduate basic psychology degree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still,
yeah.
really, really useful for any field.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Play any sports?
I was a cheerleader.
Okay.
I was a cheerleader in high school, competitive cheerleader in high school, and when I first graduated from college, I coached competitive cheerleading.
And you cheered for?
St. Peter Marian, no longer in existence. Moment of silence for St. Peter Marian.
Rest in
but
peace.
yes, I cheerleaded for St. Peter.
And then, what team did you cheer for? What sport? Was it baseball, basketball, football?
Football, basketball, and competition. We basically cheered for football and basketball so that we could compete.
That's cool. That's pretty cool. And then nowadays, do you have a favorite sport or a favorite team?
Whatever my kids are playing. My kids are big volleyball players, and I've fallen in love with that. One of my daughters is a big time swimmer. Love going to swim meets. So anything that they're competing in is good for me.
That's awesome. Volleyball's a tough sport.
I know.
And then talking about teens, young teens especially, do you have any advice for any young teens growing up, feeling lost, unmotivated? Like, how do you inspire a kid who just doesn't know where to go? And like any maybe words of wisdom or advice for any young kids trying to figure it out?
Jacob, I wish I did, because my kids are in. We were doing early action for Anna this weekend. We were filling out her college applications, and she was like, "What if I pick something and I don't want to do it forever?" And I said, "Chances are you are. You're going to pick something that you're not going to want to do forever." My husband and I are both examples of that. We went to college for something that we didn't pursue really, but I think, what advice to motivate? Just keep going. Keep trying to get better. Right? That's all we can all do, is try to be better every day, right? Yep. Whatever that means, stimulating your mind, stimulating your body, just trying something new all the time.
Staying productive.
Yeah. So even if you're not quite sure what you want to do next, move on to something.
Keep it moving.
Yeah.
That's great advice. Yeah. That is great advice. Body in motion stays in motion.
Yes.
And then, so I have this little segment here. I have a list of 7 words.
Okay.
Right? And just one word at a time, I want you to explain what that word means to you.
Okay.
As best as you can, in as many or as a few words as you'd like to.
Yep.
Just what does this word mean to you? What are your thoughts, initial thoughts, feelings, whatever? Okay, so the first word is freedom. I know, not starting off with an easy one. No warm-ups here.
What does that mean to me? Freedom. The ability to be who you truly are.
Absolutely. I agree. Absolutely, that's beautiful. All right, next word, relationships.
Ooh, complicated but worth it.
Okay. It's worth it. I like that. Some people, again, are like really negative and, have. That's a quick break from this segment. I want to ask you a very important question of, I'm sure you've gone through your fair share of heartbreaks, unless your husband's high school sweetheart.
We've been together since I was 19.
Wow. Did you have any relationships before then?
I did. I had a long-term high school boyfriend.
Okay.
And my husband asked me out as soon as he heard we broke up, so there wasn't much going on there.
More than just, intimate relationships. Yeah. I'm sure you've dealt with your fair share of, heartbreaks and sadness and life be life and all of that. With all the pain, all the things that you've gone through, how can you have such a big smile still? How can you have such an open heart and just be able to manage, all the relationships that you do, giving all those relationships your all? Have you not closed down that heart and, just had those emotions calloused over time? Is there a trick or a secret sauce to that?
Again, I think that the secret sauce is I don't take a lot of things personally. I see, and I've been blessed. I've been blessed with great parents. I have an amazing group of girlfriends. I have a great husband. I've been truly blessed in all of those things. I do think that my smile and my positive attitude has helped me keep all of those things.
So that's why it helps. Okay.
Right. But I think, again, when something goes down or something happens or something, I know it's not because anybody wants to hurt me specifically, right? So I think that helps you stay positive about people and a love for people and an openness
For sure.
to them.
Yeah, it's so easy to go the opposite route and be like, oh, fuck
Yeah.
all people, and this is
Yes.
like, you know,
Yeah.
very negative. But that smile, just smiling, and it's one of those things
Yeah.
that helps you. You know, that's beautiful. And then back to the segment.
Yes.
The next word, respect. One of the core values.
Yes. Yes.
YMCA. What does respect mean to you?
Respect to me is earned for sure. So
I like that.
I do believe
I like
that
that.
respect is something that is earned and has to be kept. So it's like an ongoing.
Almost like trust.
Yeah. And you can't get it if you don't give it. You know.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love respect is one of my favorite words. Not to talk too much about it, but I love this word called etymology.
Okay.
Right? It's the study of the history of the word.
Oh, okay.
And so,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, etymology, one of my favorite things to study is what did the word mean when it was first invented.
Interesting. Okay.
And so it really looks at like the Latin root and
Yeah.
like what the word meant. So like, you know, fag used to mean a bundle of sticks back in the day, like stuff like that. Over
Yeah.
time, words change. And so back when respect was first introduced into the language, the prefix of respect
Yeah.
means to turn back. And spect comes from spectare, or spectacle.
Okay.
Which, if you put them together, it means to turn back and re-look at something. So you're not just taking it at face value. I'm
Okay.
not just judging you by your looks. I'm re-looking into you. I'm seeing what your characteristics are on a deeper level, on a more personal level. And then if I decide, you know, this person's a bad person, I'm not going to respect them. I respect you initially.
Yeah.
And then if I decide, you know, you're not a good person, you're this or you're that, you know, I'm not going to disrespect you. I'm not going to go out of my way to, you know, try to attack you or whatever, waste my energy being negative. But I'm not going to, you know, spend my time keep re-looking into you. You're really like focusing your time, your attention to re-look into somebody. So that's the word in the etymological sense.
Yes. Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
So that's something I
That's
definitely want to share.
interesting. Thank you for sharing
Absolutely.
that.
I love
Yeah.
just going on, you know, etymology.com
Yes.
and just looking up all the words and
Oh,
their
now I'm going to have a
origin.
new
I know,
like,
little hobby.
cat hobby. Yeah, exactly.
So the next word, responsibility.
Oh, yeah, that's a big
Another
one.
core value there.
That's a big one. Responsibility. What is that word to me? Gosh, I feel like I have so many.
I know, right?
Heavy. There's a lot of them.
Priorities
But
again.
I know. But it's really, you know, what a great. It speaks to value, right? Like how people value you if they give you responsibility, right?
That's a good way of looking at it.
You know, I can't help but think of my daughter always saying, and she quotes Marvel, you know, with great power comes great responsibility.
I love it.
But
I love it.
so I can't help but think of that. But I feel like if people trust you with responsibility, right? Even your kids, your husband, your family, your community, right? My community trusts me to be responsible for this like community center. That's a big, heavy responsibility, right? But I'm so proud that they trust me to do that, right? So I
absolutely.
think maybe responsibility to me is heavy and really proud that I have some. Yeah.
I like that perspective. It's like you give responsibility to people you trust.
Yeah.
You know, that's a really cool perspective. And then if we look at the word again, it's responsibility, your ability to respond to any situation.
Yeah.
So again, do you have the ability to, you know, handle a certain situation? Then I'll give you the responsibility to have some type of power over that situation. That's an awesome perspective. Beautiful answer. Next word, 3 more.
Yep.
Care.
Oh, that's my favorite.
I know, it's mine too.
Oh, I was just saying I was talking to people about our after school program, and I was like, you know, it's research, and we're talking about what are we measuring and what are we studying. I go, well, the kids know we love them, right?
Right.
They all just kind of laughed at me a little bit, and they're like, I don't know, would they say we love them? I'm like, why, is that too fluffy? Like, I
Right.
think caring about people is why this Y is such a special place, and why I feel good about coming to it every day, because everybody that walks through the door, we care about, right?
sure.
And we do that through action. It's not a,
Oh, I care about you.
yes,
See you
exactly.
later.
I'm going to smile and wave and listen and nod. No, there is action happening to show that we care. And yeah, I that's my favorite word of all the words that you said, because I think that's the love part that I want to
Absolutely.
measure.
Yeah, care without action is not care
Yes.
at all. I love that. That is amazing. The next two words aren't going to be as good as care.
Oh, okay. All right.
Hopefully they'll be close. This next one's honesty.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Which again goes back to responsibility or even relationships, but a little bit more about honesty in particular.
Yeah. Honesty is important, and it's hard. It's hard. It's hard to be authentic and honest about how you're really feeling, because
Especially in your position.
Yeah.
Like, holy smokes, like in my mind, like you can't just say anything on your mind. You don't want to be brutally honest and hurt people.
Yeah.
So it's like, how can you be your authentic self and really, do you try to just be as authentic as possible? Do you try to like kind of walk on eggshells a little bit and be careful what you say? Like,
I think my boss would probably like if I walked on more eggshells, but I definitely think that that's where I've earned the respect, is that people aren't wondering what I'm thinking. Nobody's wondering, I wonder if Christina approves of this direction, or I wonder if she's happy with my productivity, or I wonder if I made her proud, or, people know what I'm thinking, good and bad, but I don't overdo the bad. I think it's a good mix. I mean, I've been lucky to have some great people that work here and that are in this community. But I would be afraid to not be honest, because I think that it takes away from people being able to trust you and be able to follow your lead and to be able to give you great responsibilities, because if they're not quite sure if you're 100% honest, that's always weighing on it. So I'd be afraid not to be.
that is such a profound statement. Honestly, no pun intended. I think people don't realize how important that one piece you just said is, of being afraid to be honest, because most people are afraid to be honest.
Yeah.
Like afraid to, I don't want to hurt your feelings, or what if I get in trouble, or but at the end of the day, you're probably going to get more respect, more responsibility,
Yeah.
more good things coming to you because you're honest. So being afraid to not be honest,
Yeah.
that's so beautiful.
I want to go back, though, to the caring part,
Yes.
because somebody earlier this week or last week said something where she said, I'm just going to tell you how it is. I'm honest. I'm just going to tell you. And I don't care if you like me. I'm the opposite. I actually care if you like me. So I'm going to be honest with you, but I'm going to do it in a caring way, to go back to caring. So I'm never
Yeah.
going to be honest in a hurtful way. I'm never going to not be honest, but it's not with the intention of shocking you or hurting you or tearing you down. So I think that's an important distinction, because
That is
we hear
very
that
important.
often. Like, well, I am who I am. I'm just going to tell you what I think.
Keeping it real, don't care what you think.
Yeah.
That is so
Yeah.
cool that you just said that and made a great correlation between that and care, is because why wouldn't you want to care what people think? Why don't you want to, like, don't you want people to like
Yes.
you? Like, I don't know. To me, it's just so absurd hearing, like, I don't care about people.
Yeah.
I don't want anyone, I don't give a,
Yeah.
and it's just like, I don't know.
Right.
Other worlds, right?
Yes,
But
yeah.
again, beautiful correlation there. Thank you for adding that
Yeah.
in. And the last word.
Yes.
This is the big one, if
Okay.
there is a big one. Love.
Oh,
I know. I know.
Love makes it all worth it.
Is there a
right?
difference between love and care?
Yeah, I think so. I think care is the action, right? And love is that huge, the way your heart swells about lots of things. And I feel that way about so much. I mean, I feel that way when my kids walk into the room, when I watch my kids. I feel that way when we have an event here and the community is watching how great we are. I feel that way when, I see my parents together. But it is a feeling, it's an emotion, it's a like big swell.
It's
Yeah.
like the best
Yes.
feeling in the world.
It is.
It's like that sense of accomplishment
Yeah.
or success, or there's nothing quite like it.
Yes.
What is the best thing you love about the YMCA?
The community, and again, that we act on it, right? Like there is so much action happening in this building to take care of so many people and the community, and we see a need and we fill it, and God, the people that we meet in these walls are just so special, so special. And I think a community center like the Y, people choose to be here because they care about their community. So you're going to find people that, might not be exactly as like-minded as you are. But the bottom line is, they're coming from a good place, and we just need to find some common ground. And I don't think we do that enough today, find common ground.
That is a perfect segue
Yes.
into this next question.
Okay.
Talking about common ground.
Yeah.
I do want to shout out John Brown real quick, because he did help me come up with some of these
Oh,
questions.
of course he did. He's so good.
And he was saying there's only 4 people in my life that I'm afraid to disappoint.
Oh,
and it's his mom, his girlfriend, himself, and you.
Oh, there goes the love.
I know.
Right, there goes the heart swell.
Right. And beautiful. And one of his questions he wanted me to ask you is, with so much divide going on in the world right
Yes.
now, and so much, alternative perspectives, and just people who don't see eye to eye, especially in a building such as this with so many members now. I think we're like close to like all-time high memberships or something like that.
Yeah,
like,
we're at 10,500. Yep.
holy smokes.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a lot of people,
Yes,
and
it
a lot
is.
of different cultures
Yes.
and language barriers.
Yes.
And like, even on just like a staff side of things, of like not even looking at the members, how can we get so many people to come together and work together who just don't see eye to eye?
Yeah.
Like, what's the biggest challenge when it comes to that? And like, how do you manage to even do it in the first place?
Yeah. Well, it is a culture, right? You have to create a culture of assumption of goodwill. So no, it doesn't come to me that people are assuming somebody's doing something for the wrong reason, right? Because I've spent years creating a culture where I want you to understand why this person did that before you even come in and we have a conversation about it. Because I think as long as you can see the act separate from the person, or the belief separate from the person, we can all stay working together, and we can all kind of move forward in a way and agree on what the outcomes are, right? The climate today is different than it's been in years. Well, I mean, I guess for the last several years, this climate has been the way it is. But I feel like we've managed to escape some of it within the walls by making bold statements about where the organization sits, because I think that there's been some permissions granted for people to make statements that aren't in line with the YMCA's values.
Wow.
There's been, there's, when we do things like put up a Black Lives Matter sign, or put up, celebrating Pride Month in June, or, for years, people wouldn't have said these things out loud,
Yeah,
right?
it's a gray area.
But
for
all of
sure.
a sudden, people are opposing those things, and so to firmly take a stance that this is an anti-racist organization, and we do believe that Black Lives Matter, and we do believe in celebrating Pride Month. It creates a place where we can remind folks that those kind of statements are not okay, right? That no, you can't, that's not going to bring people together, and we're about bringing people together. That's divisive, and we're not going to be divisive.
Putting the foot down and drawing the line in the sand of like, this is who we are.
Right. Taking a stand on social issues. And I think that wasn't always the wise way. We wanted to try to not be a political organization, but in the recent political climate,
it just became one.
Yeah, you had to stand where
it's too big not to be, kind of.
Yeah.
Like, there's just too many people, too much community.
Right.
That's a good point. Just taking a stand and being honest about those key issues, and that way there's no ambiguity or gray area of like, oh, I can just say this or say that, and it's like, no, not here.
Yeah, that's right.
That's beautiful. And then I know we're done the word segment, but what does leadership mean to you to be a leader?
So leadership, and I talk to my team about this a lot, like leadership is a muscle you have to constantly exercise, right? So I'm constantly reading about ways to be a better leader. I'm constantly reading or listening to podcasts about great leaders and what they did, and finding new ways. But I think great leaders mostly are part of a team, right? So great leaders don't lead alone, and they don't think they have all the ideas and all the answers. They motivate and inspire a team of people to come with them and lead with them, right? So I think that that's what leadership is. It's being part of and facilitating that amongst a group. No one's doing it alone.
Right, for sure. And is there, again, like a best practice to motivate and inspire people to lead? Like, how can we, how do you inspire other leaders?
Yeah.
And how do you, know, okay, this person's a leader? Is that there's some special quality you see in somebody that's like, okay, I know you can handle the responsibility.
Yeah.
I'm going to trust you. Is there, that thing that you're looking for in somebody else that, can really,
great question.
That you can really be trusting them to be able to take on whatever?
I don't know if I have an answer to that, because I'm thinking about, in my time, the great leaders that I've seen and I've helped worked with and kind of coached up, and they all have something really unique, because I would love to say great leaders do what they say they're going to do. So people, can trust them and count on them and depend on them. But I know some people that just influence the heck out of other people, but never do a darn thing.
Right.
And I'd also say, that great leaders are transparent, but I know some great leaders that have a hard time being totally honest about who they are.
Sure.
Right? So I don't know what it is in people that stands out, but I would say I've seen a lot cross my path, and very few people striving to be leaders have no capacity to do it. I haven't looked at many people and been like, oh, she is not going to do it.
They just don't have the magic.
They're just not going to do it.
Yeah.
As long as they're willing to exercise that muscle and know that they don't have all the answers, I think with the right motivation, just about anybody could do it.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's a muscle. You can work it out.
Yes.
And we don't all start off strong.
Right.
Some of us have great genetics
Yes.
and can go off and
Yes.
lift crazy weights, but
Yeah.
even if you're the skinniest, scrawniest person, you
Yes.
can build up to it and
That's
learn.
right.
And that's a great mentality. You said something about podcasts. Do you have a favorite podcast you listen to?
Oh, I can't admit it, because right now the podcast that I like to listen to is not teaching me a darn thing, but it's Giggly Squad.
Giggly Squad.
And I listen to it with my girls.
Okay.
It's hard to find a podcast that me and two 17-year-olds enjoy. But we will listen to Giggly Squad in the car and just laugh. And sometimes that's all you need.
That's important.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah.
Laughter, again, one of the best things you can do.
Yes.
To especially cope with all the craziness going on. Talking about, I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about the future and just thoughts on the future and how do you have like an optimistic view of the future? Are you like scared out of your mind? Like, what's your idea of the future?
Yeah. I think, am I a realist? I'm not sure I'm a realist. I think I live a little bit in a bubble where I like to pretend that everything's going to work out wonderful, and all we have to do is
That's a good
work
bubble
to
to
it,
be in.
and it's going to be great.
I like that bubble.
My mother calls it Pollyanna, where Pollyanna is we think everything's going to be wonderful.
What is it,
Pollyanna.
Pollyanna? I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's a reference to like a kind of a young girl who thought everything was great.
Okay.
So we're a little bit like that. And, but I'm not, I'm also not, I also understand that my mother said this the other day while we were at the table, that she's like, it scares me that my granddaughters are going to have less rights than I did. And that's just not the way it's supposed to be. Right. So when you think about things like that, I think there is a fear of the direction that the world is going in. But I try not to be afraid of that and try instead to focus on what I can control, because I'm not sure at what level I can control some
Sure.
things, but I can make the world that I touch a better place. And if I keep doing that, hopefully, the future for many people around can be a positive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I got a great quote for you.
Yes, please.
It is, the grass isn't greener on the other side. The grass is greener where you water it.
So true.
That means what you focus on ultimately
Yes.
grows.
Yes,
So
yes,
if
it
you
does.
focus on the fear, the negativity, the things you can't control,
Yes.
of course that's going to be all that grows. But if you focus on what you can control, you leave a positive impact to the people that you can,
Yep.
that's going to be what grows.
I love it.
And that was one of my leading guiding quotes in
I
my
love
life,
that.
ultimately. And then talking about the future still, I can barely plan for, next year. Like, do you, again, take it day by day.
Yeah.
Do you have plans for, what you like the Y to be in 10 years, 20 years?
yeah.
Like, what's the time limit of how far in the future are you planning?
Well, I actually don't plan to leave the Y until I retire. So I've got another 20 years.
Let's go. Y's in good hands.
I've got another 20 years to continue. And I can't predict what that looks like, because the Y was built to meet the needs of the community. So as the community needs change and maybe they'll stay the same, in affordable childcare and a welcoming place for folks with all abilities will still be what this community needs, safety around water, all the things that we're currently doing. But as the community changes and the needs change, we need to change with it, because that's what YMCAs are all about.
Absolutely.
So I can commit to continuing to steward our finances in a way that we can respond to the community needs and to build future leaders that will be able to meet the challenges.
Adaptability.
Yes.
It's a game of adjustments.
Yes.
That's awesome. But is there again, time limit, you
Yep.
say like a year, maybe 6 months, the direction it's going in, like how far?
Short term.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I right now I'm just so excited about January 2025, because we're going to have a whole new youth innovation and learning development hub.
All that
opens.
construction
Yes.
up there?
And it's going to be amazing, because our teens need a space that's not in the basement, upstairs in a corner.
Right.
They need to be right in the middle of the action with
Nice
all the state of the art.
space,
Yes. So teens will be in there. There'll be a STEM space. There's going to be
really?
like a ninja warrior
No.
obstacle course. Yes.
No way.
Yes.
That's sick.
It is gonna be
I've been
sick.
wanting that for
It
so
is
long.
going to be sick.
That is so cool.
Yes,
Oh
yes,
my
yes.
goodness. So good things coming.
Good things
That's
coming.
January next year.
January, yep. We're
Right
gonna have
around
a
the
fit
corner.
bar right in the lobby. We're gonna. One of the things that was so special about the Greendale Y in pre-COVID was that it was a bustling community center. People would come and drink coffee for 2 hours in the lobby.
wow.
We want that again.
Yeah.
Right. And
I
people
love
are
that.
craving it. So we're going to be back at that in January
Absolutely.
2025.
A lot of people, miss that,
Yes.
the coffee machine, everyone in the
Yes.
lobby talking to each other. And now you get that here and there in certain places
Yep.
of the Y, whether it's in the saunas or in the whatever.
Yep.
Not to talk too much about the sauna, but I know a lot of guys are, going to be watching the sauna,
Yes.
watching this interview. And holy smokes, what a crazy topic.
It
Oh
is
my
a crazy
goodness.
topic.
You
Yep.
got a couple people
Yes.
who ruin it for a lot of other
Yes.
people. And so I definitely want to hear your thoughts a little bit on that.
Yep.
Because it just, illustrates one issue. There's plenty of issues
Yes.
but one issue that's not a really big deal, right? But it's just again, few people
Yes.
who don't read signs and don't like to follow directions. And then the men's sauna has been broken down quite some time over and over
Yep.
again. And I guess my question is, what if there was one thing you'd like to tell the troublemakers?
Yes.
In however you'd like to say it too. If there's one thing you can tell them in regards to the sauna. For those of you who don't know, there's people who pour water or whatever, oil on the sensor or other parts of the sauna that cause it to break down, right? If I'm not mistaken. And
Yep, you're correct.
and the parts are super expensive, and you've replaced it and fixed it like what, 3-4 times
Oh,
now?
absolutely, yeah, yeah.
And the women's sauna never breaks
Never
down.
breaks down.
They're fine.
Yeah.
They're golden.
Yeah.
But we cannot somehow follow directions. But is there one thing you would like to tell the troublemakers in the men's sauna?
Well, it's funny because I actually don't want to talk to the troublemakers. I like to talk to the other folks because I think that this is, like you said, it's an example of being part of a community, right? Where management is not going to handle this issue. This issue has to be handled by community.
Interesting.
Because we can't put a staff person in the sauna. That would not be
Yeah.
me being a good steward of our finances,
yeah,
right?
right.
So we
They'd
need
probably pass out in there.
right. And we just need people to be able to have conversations with people without it escalating, without it, somehow to create community expectations in a space like the sauna. And I think that our world has gotten so far away from that, that's why we're not able to do it in this moment, right? Because we just haven't been able to correct bad behavior. And, who knows what it is? I don't know who's putting that on there. Are they trying to break it? Maybe they're not trying to break it. Maybe they don't understand. Maybe they, have always come from a place where that's what you do in saunas and they don't understand that it's broken, or I don't know. But somehow, some way, we have to come together as a community to make the behavior better. Yeah.
That's interesting. Again, giving responsibility
Yes.
to have the community fix it. And
Yeah.
again, that's a great, management tip as well for other, potential managers or leaders listening in on this conversation. Do you have one favorite childhood memory that you can really think back on and just gives you a smile? Like, is there any one particular amazing memory of yours, even if it's not childhood, just like a favorite memory?
Yeah. Summer camp.
Summer camp.
Yeah, Girls Inc. Again, I keep talking about Girls Inc., but I spent my
They're
summers.
not around anymore?
No, they are.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
they are. Yep. I spent my summers at Camp Kennywood, which is on the west side of the city, kind of up by the Holden Reservoirs, set back, pretty privately placed. But we would take the bus from Lincoln Street, which is where there was a Girls Inc. on Lincoln Street, and we would take our bus and go there. And I met my very best friend, who's still my best friend, when I was 5 years old at camp. And every summer was magic, right? And it wasn't a fancy camp. It probably didn't even have the amenities that we have.
Oh, wow.
But it was a place of magic in my heart. And so I think every minute that I spent there was probably my special childhood memory.
Well, I'm sure that I'm going to have to check this place out now.
Yes.
Because it sounds like a great place.
Yeah.
And I gave you a quote. Do you have a favorite quote?
Oh, geez, I don't.
No?
I don't. Isn't that terrible? I don't have a lot of quotes. I mean, I guess we'll use with great power comes great
I
responsibility.
like it. Okay. Simple. That's
My
nice.
daughter would be so proud.
Maybe I'll give you a couple quotes.
Yes, you should.
A couple quotes.
You should. I just mess them up. That's why I don't have them.
Okay.
I always confuse
That's
them.
fair. It's like,
I always,
was it
yes.
this word?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. This is a question and a quote that you'll have for yourself.
Okay.
Is the glass half empty or half full?
Oh, it is half full. But sometimes people in my circle have to remind me. If I get towards the half empty, I need a village to be like, that's half empty, right? You're right. That's not who I want to be. So the glass is always half full. But sometimes you need to be reminded.
Yeah. And so the quote is, a glass is neither half empty or half full.
Oh.
A glass is a glass. It's refillable.
Oh.
And so I like how you said you have to be reminded, because so you can dump it out and refill it and make sure it's always half empty or half full.
Half full.
Yeah. So that's another quote that you got in your
there
back
you go.
pocket
There
now.
it is. Let's hope I don't mess it up.
That's awesome. And you've always lived in Mass?
I have, yeah. I was born and raised in Worcester, and then my husband and I moved. Well, my parents moved to Holden when I was in high school, and then my husband and I bought a house in Holden.
Okay. And so we talked a little bit about, I only got a couple more questions, but
Yep.
we talked a little bit about, the WISE principles and values.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a top 3 guiding principles and values?
Yeah.
Are they
So
part of the whys?
have
or-
you ever done a values sort, Jacob?
No.
Oh,
a
it's so
value
fun.
sort.
Yes, you and Francesca
sounds
should do a
fun.
value
I
sort.
definitely
It
will
is
check it
so
out.
fun. You can just go online and Google value sort, and then you kind of go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And so the reason I'm saying that is because I wouldn't have been able to answer that question until I did my
Really?
value sort. And so, of course, once I do these things, my poor children have to sit with me for hours and do a values sort, and we talk about it and we discuss it. But one of my values that was really interesting to me, and some people around me thought it was 100% accurate and some people thought it wasn't, was fun. Fun was one of my top values. So I
Really?
want to sit in that for a minute, because I think that who doesn't want to live life with fun?
Doesn't sound like a life
Right?
at all if it's not fun.
Right? And it's
That is
okay
so
to
beautiful.
value fun, I think. So, you know, I'm not sure if that's a why value, right?
It should
Honesty,
be.
respect.
Yeah,
Maybe
right?
I'm going to put up a new banner.
Yeah, right?
Maybe we're going to put up a new banner. But I want to lift up fun as a value.
I really like that. And again, people will say, oh, that's just hedonistic or whatever. But it's like, why would you want to live life without fun?
Yeah.
Like, you got to have, and that's what I'm always trying to do with, exercise. It's like, you don't have to have this
Yes.
mentality of, ugh, I got to work out now. Like, this sucks. Like, it can be, I can't wait to work out. I can't wait to
Yes.
have fun. I
Yes.
can't wait to be healthy. And it's just like, the only thing that's stopping people from having that is, finding ways to make it fun again. That is so beautiful. Such a great value. You have 2 others?
Sure. I would say loyalty
Okay.
and family.
Fun,
Yeah.
loyalty, family. Wow. Very important.
Yeah.
Now, loyalty. I definitely want to talk about that just a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah.
What is
The dark side.
Yeah.
It's the Italian in me.
Italian? Anything else? Full Italian?
No, I'm mostly, my mother has a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but I'm mostly Italian.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
I know too many Italians.
Yes.
They're just always in my life. I love it though. My mom's a little Italian too, but just a little bit. But the loyalty, what does that mean to you? Like, just being honest or being trustworthy?
Trustworthy, I think. Ride or die, right? Like, they're going to be with you. They're going to stand by you to the end. You always know what they're thinking. Nobody else knows what they're thinking about you before. Even in my family, it's very, we tell each other everything. No one, you better call Anna and tell her what you already told Julia, because you don't want Anna to find out from Julia. You want to be, communication and being authentic and transparency. All of that is part of loyalty. And again, I tease about it being the dark side, but did you hear what John Brown said? He doesn't want to disappoint me.
Absolutely.
Right?
That's loyalty.
That loyalty, that's why my heart swelled, even though.
That's
Like,
an
he's
intense
loyal.
word. It's more than
Yes.
just
Yes.
honesty or trust, or it's deeper than that.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
all of that combined.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And then we were talking about music before this. Do you have a favorite genre? Or a
I
favorite
do. I
song?
call them the holy trifecta, and I'm not sure,
The holy
the holy trifecta.
trifecta.
So Alicia Keys.
Okay. I like it already.
Adele and Jewel.
Wow.
I know.
Holy trifecta.
I'm not sure what you would call them
I love
in a
it.
genre, but they are my 3
I love it.
all-time faves.
A
Yeah.
little bit of R&B
Yeah.
maybe, or soul music or pop, but
Yeah.
that's awesome. Great artist. Do you have a favorite
Yeah.
song?
Oh.
That's a tough one. I know. I saved the hardest one for last.
Empire State of Mind is actually my favorite song.
Wow, really?
Isn't that funny?
Wow, that's a great song.
It's a great song. It's just the song
It's like
that
the theme,
in the
Christina
car.
theme song.
Yeah, I don't know why, but in the car it can always make me feel just right. So that's my favorite song.
That's awesome. That's beautiful. And then last question.
Yes.
Favorite place you've ever been to in the world?
That's a great question. So my family and I haven't traveled outside the United States.
Really?
Just to say that
Whoa.
right here. Yes.
That's wild.
It is. It's really heartbreaking, actually.
Oh,
but
my goodness.
yes, I have not traveled outside the United States. But my husband and I drove cross country when we were younger. We went to Puerto Rico for our honeymoon. We've done
so technically,
we've done all kinds of little trips, right?
Yeah.
But we do have a place in the White Mountains. We have like a little, timeshare
Love
that
it.
we get once a month, and we go up there religiously over the summer and over the winter. And I would say, as soon as I drive into the White Mountains, my heart rate goes down, my blood pressure. I just feel this relaxed peace. So I would say that that's probably my favorite place.
I can't tell you where,
Yes.
but there's a place in the White Mountains that I always thought if I was going to propose,
That's where it would be.
There's a special place.
Oh.
When it happens, I'll tell you.
All right, yeah,
But,
you can't. Don't let that cat out of the bag yet.
Oh, I might have to edit that part out. But is there like a really special place in the White Mountains that you really like, a special like hike or a special mountain?
Yeah, well, we're big swimming hole people. My husband's a mountain biker, but I'm not so much. So we're a big
Diana's
swimming
Bath
hole people.
and
Yeah,
stuff
we
like
like Diana's
that,
Bath.
yeah.
It's called Sawyer's Rock. Is probably
Sawyer's
my
Rock.
favorite
I'll
place.
have to check it out. I've never been.
Yeah. Oh, it's the best. It's the best.
Looking forward to checking it out.
Yeah.
And then final thing, is there any final message or advice you just want to give to the world? Any final thoughts, any final message you have that you'd like to share with everyone, or maybe a story, something?
Well, I mean, I guess it would be just a simple message. I think that we don't listen to each other enough, right? I think we're trying to show people what we know, and we're not necessarily listening to what other people know. And people are fascinating. So if just take the time, slow down, and listen. I think that would be my advice.
That is beautiful advice.
Yeah.
Christina Puleo, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much. This was fun.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
It's gorgeous out. It's
Isn't
not
it?
even a little cold.
Isn't this crazy?
Yes.
It's like summer shine
It
weather.
is. It's
Like
great.
I was like, we have to go outside.
Yes,
We
I'm
have
so glad
to.
you said that.
Oh,
It's beautiful.
Absolutely couldn't have picked a better day.
I know it.
Stars aligned.
I love it.
But again,
Good.
I know you're busy. Won't hold you up.
Oh,
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
This was great.
Awesome. And that's a wrap.
All righty.
That's a wrap.
My first podcast.
Let's go. Thanks for listening to the Care2Talk podcast, episode 2, starring a dear friend of mine and colleague, Christina Puleo. If you'd like to support this podcast, please consider leaving a like down below, commenting any questions or suggestions, as well as subscribing to this channel and turning on the bell notification for any future videos and podcasts that we do. If you'd like to, share this video with any loved ones, friends, and family so we can get this impactful and powerful message out to those who need to hear it. As always, I like to end these off with one of my favorite quotes of all time. This quote is very near and dear to me and has impacted me in a very positive way. Life is not about the answers. Life is about the questions that lead you to the next big answer. The adventure never has to end. Dream big, because your dreams are worth dreaming. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for listening, and remember, take care.